I was teaching calculus for a high school, and I had just broken up with my boyfriend of 5 years. I was living in a studio that was just so stupidly expensive. And camming was something that I always kind of wanted to do. I was curious to do, but I was always dating people that were like, that's weird. Like, don't do that. Like, it's bad. Like all this stigma around it. And so whenever there's something like negative stigma around something, I always kind of want to check it out a little bit more because I'm just curious. Like I want to know my own experience. And so one day I was like, I really needed to like have another flow of income. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna try it. Let's just give it a shot. Let's see how it goes. I was pretty lonely too, so I was like, maybe this will be fun way to like entertain myself. And that's how I kind of landed on you guys actually, was just looking up different websites that I could cam for that seemed legit and that would work out. That was in September of 2022.
Why did you choose LiveJasmin as opposed to something like OnlyFans?
I think that OnlyFans requires that like a lot of work to put in, and then eventually down the line you get there. And you get like you have to market it and you have to make all of your content, which isn't like difficult, but it was more of I just felt like, what do I have to offer in terms of like body that everyone else doesn't have? And I felt like camming was a more like intimate experience where I could like directly like affect the people that I was working with and kind of like be the fantasy that they wanted. I really like those like close one-on-one encounters. And I just felt like OnlyFans wasn't going to really offer that to me. Like I felt like it was me vying for attention with pictures versus like, here's my personality, let's hang out tonight. And so that's what definitely interested me in terms of camming instead.
You got that right. Let me tell you something about OnlyFans. Look at me. No, I have heard multiple times, and I know this to be true actually from people that are on it. It is in many ways fake. And what I mean by that is a lot of times, like you said, it's very hard to do well on OnlyFans unless you have a large following somewhere where you're directing that traffic. Like, hey guys, like message me here. But then when those messages are going on back and forth, people are not always talking to who they think they're talking to. Sometimes these models have managers, like a guy friend or something, that is messaging these guys back. It's not the real, authentic connection and relationship building process that LiveJasmin offers, you know? And so if you are actually in it for those reasons, OnlyFans is not the thing. That's for sure. Yeah.
I totally agree. Yeah. Just especially with all the agencies and whatnot. Cause I remember like trying to get started and people were like, oh, let me run this for you. And I was like, no, like I have personal touches that I don't think anyone could do except for me. And so and it just seemed so like unfeasible to even try to get into it or like try to build something. Cause like, I'm a school teacher, so I'm not coming from like a wide social media following or anything like that.
So far, what has been your experience with members?
It's crazy how kind people are. Like, I feel like you hear about the internet and people on the internet, and you're always expecting some sort of like negativity. I feel like, especially if money is involved or anything like that, or like your body. And I've met nothing but like kind people, like, and people from all walks of life, like people, or at least like, and I totally go in with like so much trust and like just like openness for people. But I mean, people that are like maybe they're higher up CEOs or maybe they're like college professors. And there's just like, I look at everyone as someone I can learn from. And I've just met the most incredibly kind hearted people like that are there for me. Like, if someone ever does start anything, which, like, honestly, no one's ever started anything in my chat, but I'm aware that that can happen on sites. But like, people are just there and they're telling me, like, oh, do this, or you're doing really great here. And I mean, I've never felt so accepted and I never expected to feel so accepted in such a community, I guess, and with such a variety of people. They're just like giving. And at the end of the day, like you realize like even though we're online and it's like I can't see them half the time. Like I find myself falling for so many of my like my regulars too. I'm just like everyone, they're so kind. Like they're so just nice and giving. And I'm so happy that I get to give them my attention because I feel like whoever isn't giving them their attention, like they really deserve it because I just adore the people that I've met so far.
I love that so much. Yeah, I'm curious because you mentioned like it feels like a community, and to have this group of people that essentially are there for you. That's why they're in your room, it's like a community of people that have something in common with you or just like you. I am curious about how does that make you feel?
Honestly, it feels really like just nice. Like I feel like I came from, school, being a teacher where no one listens to you and you're in a room of 30 people. And versus like here I am with all of these strangers and like half the time sometimes I'll just talk about math or my day and like people are interested and they want to hear more. And being in like the hot flirt category, like I'm fully dressed and we're just chatting. If anything, like this site has like helped me gain confidence and just like being on camera and talking on camera and being able to like get through what I'm trying to say in a more well-rounded fashion and not stopping and be like, every 2 seconds like I used to. Financially, I realized it's like I was making well, yeah, because I had to take a break for a second to like move and just get everything handled. But I was making my teacher's salary working like 8 hours a week instead of 60 hours a week, which is crazy. And what I love is that like, if you want to make more, you just work more. And it's so like at first I was like a little unsure of the tier system, but then I was like, oh, well, actually, once you get past the first tier, the next one's easier to get to. And it just like becomes this thing where it's like easier and easier to build up your income through the tiers. And it's kind of like this little like reward for yourself. Like you want to do better and you want to work hard because you can see it get paid out to you immediately. Like you can always watch it growing and know that your time's actually worth something, which a salary job was not showing me any longer. Like I was working and not getting anything for it.
What do your friends and family say? Do they know?
So my friends are super into it. Like they're stoked for me. A lot of my friends are my coworkers. So, first they didn't understand until I was like, no, I can work this much and make this amount. And then they understood pretty nicely. Some of them have actually like not joined me on camera, but they've like joined the chat and they're like, you're really good at this. Yeah, no, so it's kind of cute. My family doesn't know, but I also don't. I've been like, teaching because there still is such a stigma around it. And like, if anyone ever asked me point blank, like I would tell them that like this isn't the same life that like we think it is. Like from outside, I think that like, doing something like camming looks or it seems worse than it is. But in reality, you're just being there. Like you're an entertainer and you are listening. Like sometimes you're a therapist too. And sometimes you're a teacher, and I think that I would love to tell them just to be able to kind of like change their mind on it, or to let them see that it's not all that, I don't know, maybe magazines or the media has portrayed it as. So I think it is something special.
Yeah, that's really interesting that you said that it's not what society has portrayed it as or said that it is. And to be honest, that's part of why we're doing these interviews because people don't actually know what this industry is. They just guess because they think, okay, explicit content, it goes in one category. You know what I mean? It's porn. But as you mentioned, you're fully clothed, right?
Yeah.
your hot flirt. And you also said something interesting, which you said is sometimes you feel like you're being a therapist. Why do you feel that way?
I think at the end of the day, like people are there to like be heard. And whether regardless of like what they do in their waking life, like a lot of people just want to be like listened to. And so like offering a place to just like hear out their ideas or for them to tell me about their day or to like help them like kind of work through something, whether it be sexual or like a work thing. It's kind of nice to be able to like help them piece things together or let them like have a hearing board or a sounding board for like their ideas about what's going on. And I have my bachelor's in psychology, and so any excuse to finally use that degree.
What would you say is the biggest lesson you've learned so far since being a model on LiveJasmin?
I think that it is okay to it's okay to fail at something. It's okay to not be able to fully meet try and fail a new thing. Like the first time that I tried to do something like dominating, like it wasn't the end of the world. And they understood. And just being like open in my communication of like, I'm brand new to this and not trying to be someone that I wasn't was super helpful. And also it was like enlightening to know that I could just be myself and that was okay with people. Like they were receptive to it and they didn't mind that I was like trying or like new to this or not perfect at it. Like all that mattered was that I tried to them. And that was something that like I feel like I've never experienced in any other job where people are just happy that you're wanting to give it a shot for that person or for them.
Yeah, that's such a beautiful takeaway and lesson that honestly, in my opinion, is like one of the keys to having a fulfilling life is to feel comfortable enough to be authentic. I think in so many ways, almost everyone on this planet is working on that, and to be able to be in a place where you're like, yeah, like I've learned that it's safe to be myself. And I'm in fact like encouraged to do that. That's incredible.
Yes, and that which is why I'm just so grateful for this platform for like allowing me to see that because you really do not get that being in a classroom or like working at a fast food store or anywhere else. Like this has been so such an amazing experience that like I feel like it's really helped me come into myself too, as just like learning more about myself.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. Um, what would you say has been one of the bigger challenges you've had since joining LiveJasmin in the industry?
Um, in terms of camming and being like my own boss, I would say for sure being regular, like getting my time scheduled and slotted and like actually staying on myself to go online. Like that was the hardest part because I'm so not used to having to like schedule myself. Um, and so just having to like, actually pencil it in, like, I'm doing this from this time to this time. Um, that's and that has totally like changed the game for me too, because then I was able to like actually build regulars once I started doing that. But getting around to that was definitely difficult for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's something that a lot of people go through that initial phase of like learning. And that's another good life lesson is that self-discipline, you know?
That and not spending my paycheck immediately.
Mhm.
It
Yeah.
just like extra income. It's crazy.
If you could summarize what service you really provide to members as a cam model in one word, what would it be?
Oh, that's difficult. My first word that comes to mind is I guess connection. Connection. Initially, I was going to say fantasy, but honestly, like while that's a part of it, it's connection. I think that that's what I provide is like I'm a person and you're a person and we can feel like we're not alone in this world right now.
I mean, that was just divinely said.
As long as no one's being hurt,
Yeah.
I think like the opposite of hurt. I think they're being loved, liked, and warmed.
I
And
really
isn't that
like
good?
what you
I
said.
feel like
I really like what you said. I think people are being the opposite of hurt. They're being loved. And I agree with you, especially here at LiveJasmin. Um, this has been a really positive and beautiful interview. I've really enjoyed it. I like to end the interviews by asking one final question, which is just, what's something you're the most grateful for in your life right now?
I think my openness to opportunities like this, because I think that that led me to LiveJasmin, and that's let me quit my job and like live the life that I want to live. And so yeah, my openness, a little bit of spontaneity, and all of it leading me to LiveJasmin. Like this site has been so incredible in terms of experience and what it's allowed me to do.